The FNRad Snowboard Podcast is presented by Vans. Season 5 of the FNRad Snowboard Podcast was sponsored by Wired Snowboards, the Boardroom Snowboard Shop, Anon Optics, Crowsnest Barbershops, and Tribute Boardshop in Nelson, BC. And I also received free passes at Cypress, Seymour, and Grouse. Thanks to everybody who supported the show. This week on the Plug Podcast with Russell Winfield is NFL Linebacker Dhani Jones, wrapping up the first season of what will be an ongoing podcast. Awesome. I just want to shout out the winners of the Plug Podcast, FNRad Podcast, and Stoke.org fundraiser. We raised over $4,300. Thanks to Vans for matching the first $2,000 that we raised. Listeners like you guys warm my heart. Here are the winners. For the NewGreens $200 gift pack, we got Greg Putman, Gordon McDonald, Aaron Schwartz, Nathan Jarvis, and Nikki Mula. The Dakine gift pack was won by Danny Curry, who also won the Burton jacket and a Crowsnest gift pack. That guy made out like a bandit. Right on, Danny. Congratulations. Jeff Tullock won the Burton packable bag. Eric Thompson won the Burton cooler. Chris Lyons and Ted Zimmers both got abnormal t-shirts. Cam Gilly, Chris Rudden, Hayden Pocock, and Sean Coffey won the abnormal skateboard decks. Al King won the Dufficy shot signed by Chris Dufficy himself. Thank you to Brad Heppner for bringing that into the prize packs. Troy Dunn won the Intuition liners. Roger Santerre won the signed photo of Russell taken by Dano Pendygrasse. Ron Hill won the Tribute hoodie. Zoe Schultz won the Anon goggles. Congratulations, Zoe. Michael Casaniti won the Boardroom $200 gift certificate. Marty Scala won the Jamie Lynn art piece. And the Wired Snowboard was won by Hayden Pocock, who, yes, he won a skateboard and a snowboard. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks very much to everybody who participated. Thanks to all the sponsors and all the people that donated prizes. All right, here we go with episode 8 of the Plug Podcast with Russell Winfield. Today's guest is NFL Linebacker Dhani Jones, wrapping up the first season of what will now be an ongoing podcast. Let's listen together.
Hello, this is Russell Winfield, and welcome to episode 8 of The Plug, brought to you by FatTire Beer, America's first and only carbon-neutral beer. This week, to close the season off, I've got my mans in them, Dhani Jones, NFL football player, linebacker, and also a participant in the one and only Ride Snowboards summer camp up there on the Horstman Glacier. Pretty cool conversation we have, so sit back and listen to it. Thank you.
It might have been 1990.
No, if it was Ride Camp, it was 2 or 3. But
all right, well, I'll give you 1992. That was I was 14.
And you were big at 14. You were a big.
Yeah, well, I mean, I played football, and I had skied all that time.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, why am I, falling down? And I got this huge yard sale.
Yeah.
So there's skis going left and skis going right, and I got my sock cap and I got my goggles, I got my poles going everywhere, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm quit. And I think that was when I was 10. So that was probably like 4 years earlier than that. And then I just picked up a snowboard and I just wanted to just go for it. It was a wrap. And the first day, I think I hurt my wrist. My tailbone was crushed.
Oh, yeah.
My ankles were all jacked up. And I was like, but I'm going to keep doing this. And then I told my parents that I wanted to go to snowboarding camp. And then I got sent to Blackcomb and the ride camp, and the rest was history.
That was something. That was a special summer up there on the Horstman Glacier. And I remember first I didn't, and then I looked. I was like, "Yep," because I told you. I said, "Bro, quit messing around with the snowboard stuff and just go play you some football." Because this year, if I was your height size, I'd probably be playing me some football, but I'm not.
Yeah, but look, but I'm the one that was playing football, and at the same, and I had just gotten into football, right? I think I was even maybe like my freshman year in high school, and I was trying to figure out whether I was going to play football or I was going to do soccer, and track and wrestling were at different times, so I had a varied opportunity, but like my primary sports were swimming and tennis, and my primary sports were like mountain biking and cycling, and I was doing triathlons. And so it was natural for me to kind of find my way into this environment that and I don't even thinking way back how much of an impact that you had on my life. I mean, you were like the godfather. You're like one of the first African-American men in the world of like snowboarding. And I'm sitting up there, I got a snowboard from you. I got your board. Do you remember that? That was your board. There's a green Ride snowboard.
Yep. The RJ.
That was your board.
Yeah, you got one of my OGs. Probably one of the first ones too.
I know. I got to get it signed. I'm gonna send it out to you. I'm like, man, I got to get that. But and even so, and I get so excited about it because so I was out there and we were snowboarding and I think it was at the very end of the camp and you all were giving these items away.
Yep.
Right. There was a snowboard, and I think maybe there were some pants and some boots and a bunch of things. And there were all these kids, I remember, in the park. And there was a little lake and a rock in the middle of that lake. And they said, all right, who wants a free snowboard? And I was like, I want a free snowboard. And they're like, all right, first person to swim from where we were sitting out to the rock and back. And I stripped down straight to my underwear and I just jumped in the water and I swam. And I know people looked at me like I was crazy. Like, all right, number one, here's a black dude up here snowboarding. Now, granted, one of the pros is black as well, but still, I'm sure they were like, right? And then they were like, here's this guy getting into the water and swimming too. There's another but I went as fast as I possibly could. I remember just sprinting out to the rock as fast as I possibly could, and I trounced everybody on the way back, and I ran up the beach, slapped the hand, and I was like, I can't wait to see my snowboard get to my house.
Yep, and it made it.
It was the best. It was the best. It was one of the best experiences, and it's just like I look back, and when I even went to the University of Michigan, I kept snowboarding, and so even in the off time, I would snowboard. And even after games, I would go snowboarding. And the crazy thing about, going to University of Michigan, you're up north and people don't realize Michigan is a big state. And so it's got some different pockets that maybe have not as progressed as some other pockets of the state. And so I would get off from a game, the game would go like, let's say 11-2 or 12-4, whatever our game was on a Saturday. 1 o'clock game. 12 o'clock game is college, right? And so my parents would come up to the game. They would go to the game. We'd go eat after the game. And then I'd go with my buddy and we'd go snowboarding at like Boyne Mountain. Or we'd go snowboarding. and then we would come back and we would go out that same night, and then we'd get up and we would go to practice. That was my schedule all throughout college.
Just to be youthful again, huh?
I know. But I think one of the things I want to ask you is, your experience, and I'm sure you get asked this 1,000 times over, right? Yeah. How many times did people say or just drop, like derogatory comments towards you when you're on the mountain?
Honestly, not too much to me, because I don't know. I talked to Kier a little bit about this, and we were in a bubble. Like, so wherever we went, they knew we were there, and they knew who we were. One time I almost got killed, but that was in Montana.
Were you at Flathead Lake or Whitefish? Where were you?
Yeah,
Whitefish. Boarding? Yeah, I've been up there too.
It wasn't it's just, there's them people are there.
Wait. So I went to Flathead Lake and Whitefish with some of my friends, and I remember coming to this. It's just like this 4-way stop with a red flashing light, and I was like, "Okay, all right, guys. I know we're in Montana. I know we're gonna have a great time, but I think we should just go get some food at this bar right next to us." So we pulled into the bar, and I think we drew straws to figure out who was gonna go into that bar first. And I didn't draw the straw. All I know is my friend who did, he came out before we could go back in, and we got in the car, we left. But, those are the types of experiences that I think they're tragic experiences, but they're life lessons. And I think sometimes when I was on the mountain, I remember, a couple people calling me the N-word when I was coming down and they were going up, and I spent some time trying to chase people down. But I realized certain people are just ignorant.
Yeah, that's just
and now
house training.
Right. And now there's more people out, right? There's more diversification within the world of snowboarding. There's more diversification. I telemark ski a lot as well.
Oh, nice.
I know you probably look at me like I'm crazy.
No.
Who telemark skis?
Heppner is from Telemark, Norway, bro.
Oh, really?
Rips on those things. Rips.
It
flips the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah,
it is.
He's different.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to get through a whole day without burning my quads up.
I can't help you there. You're the Yim. You need to go to the Yim. Do some squats or something. That's it. So let's talk a little bit about. So it's crazy because you achieved the highest of high levels in American football. You went to the game, and you snowboard. So you have a sport that is black dominant. I'm just going to say it. It's black football, basketball, black dominant sports. And then, so that culture against the snowboard culture, what was the main, besides all the blackness, what was the biggest difference in them?
Well, I mean, I was never part of a snowboarding team. I was never part of a ski team. I was never part of any winter sports team. I would say, but with that being said, the camaraderie and the competition and the brotherhood that exists within the world of football is no different than any other team related sport, right? And I know people that are part of multiple snowboard teams. I know people that have been, part of the Olympic team, and people compete in the X Games and they're part of teams, right? And I think what's so wonderful about sports in general is just how they teach you about relating to other people, right? And so when you play the game of football, I don't think I looked at it and said, it's a black dominated sport. Now I know it's a black dominated sport, right? But I looked at it and I saw people, I saw teammates. And when I did snowboarding, I realized quickly it wasn't a black dominated sport. But I also realized that it was a sport that was just starting to gain traction. Right? People were still calling us knuckle draggers. Right? Back in the day. And that's not a nice thing to say. That's heavily derogatory and laden in so many different epithets. But the people that I was with, when I saw you, I was ecstatic. I'm still living this 14-year-old life. Awesome. I remember getting off the plane, going and seeing you, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I think over the last 10 years, I've always talked about you, but I've never seen you, right? I've always I remember that guy when I was snowboarding up there in Blackcomb Mountain, and like Russell, I got his board, still got his board. But the team that was built around the world of snowboarding, I think, mirrors in the same way that you can look at the rest of the teams. Look, football took its time in order to come into its prominence.
Well,
and there were times where
USC started beating everybody's ass, and then they had to change.
But the greatness is still at the University of Michigan. I just want to let you know that.
I'm not
it's the greatness.
Them boys down in Southern California seen a few of us run or catch. We're like, wait a
Oh
second.
yeah, wait a minute. They're like, wait a minute. We can start beating people. Exactly. Right. So there have been many of hurdles that people have had to cross in these different games. It's just where the world of football is right now is a lot different than where the world of snowboarding is. But the world of snowboarding has come so far from where it was when you started off.
Yep, it has. It's changed. It's back then it was real punk rock and like hip hop kind of, grimy and grungy, and now it's real corpo.
It's fancy. It's fancy, but I mean, and that's part of the reason. So I love snowboarding, and that's part of the reason why I started doing a little bit more telemark skiing, because I think it has little hints of that grunge factor, right? It has hints of a little bit of that, free, what they say, free your heel, free your life, right? Free your soul, free your life. And I just associate with that culture. And I think that snowboarding culture was always about that, and it's still always about all that for me. When you're out there on those big open bowls, if you're out there on, I don't know, Snowbird, backside of Snowbird, I snowboard a lot in Powder Mountain, right? Out in Utah. It's huge, wide open, 10,000 acres. And you're just out there just trying to free yourself from all the things that hold you down. And I think that's also part of the outdoor sports world, right?
That's all of it, really.
Right, but football is, in a sense, a freeing sort of way, but it's tied to your point, to a lot of dollars. So you're also protected in a lot of ways. Yeah. So that's another way that you might see some similarities and some differences.
Okay. So what you played, a little bit about your career. You got drafted by my New York football Giants, correct?
Yep.
Let me tell you a story. So every summer, the Jets Giants would have the exhibition game. And my 4th birthday, it happened to land on that day. My mom got me a full kit, bro. Like helmet, shoulder pads, cleats, pants, the whole thing. I put the whole kit on. We went to the game. So here I am, 4 years old, clicking around, thinking I'm the baddest thing since sliced bread. Watching the game, I'm like, hey, Mom, can I go to get a hot dog and a soda? No, it's 1970-something, so she's not tripping. She's like, yeah, go ahead. So I walk out, get my hot dog and soda, and as I'm turning around, all the go-kart cops, the golf cart cops are going by. I get to my breezeway, and they're there, and there was a Jets fan who had a Giants fan by his ponytail and the seat of his pants and just beating him on the stairs.
What?
Yeah, man. Jets Giants games in the 70s.
People are aggressive, man. It's there's a certain level of
insanity that goes with
insanity, and people take things personal.
Yep.
Right? That's the power of live sports, is that people get so ingratiated in the moment that they almost become, or to the point of how much they can, the players on the field. And so they have to, exude sort of that bravado or that caveman like, and it's unfortunate that it goes too far. Right. I never understood it. I don't get fights on the football field because it costs too much.
Yes.
It costs way too much. So I'll just let that go. But when people do it in the stands, I don't get it. Maybe it's something that I missed, but it's funny. Up until maybe 4 years ago, I didn't even go watch a professional game. And then my friend invited me to a Bengals game, which is the last team I played for. And I got to see the game, and I was like, wow, this is pretty fun. So you kind of see a different perspective. And then I kind of like the jaw jacking and the way that people interact in the stands. I don't like when people go, like you're saying, a little bit too far. Yeah. But there's definitely some entertainment to it.
Oh, yeah. So This is a serious question. What was a better feeling to you? The first time you made that bottomless powder turn, you know the one I'm talking about. You never forget it. We were like, oh. Or when you guys won the championship and went to the chip. I'm not trying to put you out there, but this is
I know that's hard. Oh man.
Either way, you're right, but I just
snowboarding took me places, and I could argue on the same side football did too. But I would say there's something about being alone in the middle of the mountain and that feeling.
Yeah,
it's a lot different than football.
Yeah,
and in football, it's you and 11. It's you and 10 of your best friends on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though you made that big tackle, there was other people that were involved. And I think when I look at snowboarding and you feel that float or you feel that hit and you just let yourself go, it's a whole different type of environment. And I think that's what kept me coming back.
Yep.
There wasn't as much impact, but so I'd say snowboarding made a bigger impact on me in that way.
Wow.
My dad would always encourage me to go outside. My mom, same thing. My cousins, we would leave the house in the morning, or go on riding bikes. Once we got older and knew how to drive, we'd leave and we'd go to the mountain. We'd go board, right? And these are certain pathways to independence that you don't forget as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And those things sort of define you later on in life. And team sports are different because, there's independence, but there's no way you can just sort of write it off and say you did it by yourself.
No, there's accountability with your independence to the 10 other dudes directly. So, whereas with snowboarding, you're just accountable for yourself.
Right.
Either going to land or not land. So.
I remember at the camp, I don't know, what did I do? I think I pulled like a 720, I don't know all the terms.
2 times around.
Switch stance, 720 off of spine.
Okay.
That was I remember that. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
There you go.
That was one of those other moments where I was like, "Ooh,
woo,
stop."
Yeah. Damn. What are you doing now, my man?
Well, I've been investing in a bunch of companies, working with entrepreneurs.
Okay.
But one of the most, and I don't even know if you know this, or maybe I did tell you, one of the most exciting things is that I joined the board of a company called Pocket Outdoor Media.
Okay.
And Pocket Outdoor Media, we have a lot of different publications that are in the health and wellness space. And we're in the cycling space. We're in the running space. We're in the outdoor space. We're in the backpacking space. I mean, we're outside. And part of the reason why I joined the organization, the CEO, Robin Thurston, he talks about adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about the connection between the world and who we are, both I think about it mentally and spiritually. This is sort of my own personal pursuit, right? And just like I said in the very beginning, I snowboarded before I played football.
Yep.
I cycled before I played football. I was in the mountains before I played football. I swam before I played football. All this set the foundation for the world of football, of which I had the fortunate opportunity of playing for 11 years. And I think joining the board, I want to be able to facilitate other people that look like me an opportunity to see other parts of life, and then also know that you don't have to take the same path that everybody else takes to get to where you want to go.
Yep.
So that's what I've been up to, and reaching out to people that have been amazing supporters in my life. Yourself, you didn't even know it. And I'm like, what?
I'm glad.
Yeah, man. I got to come out. My dad's out in Seattle, so I got to come out there.
Oh, really?
I come out there. Yeah, I come out there sometimes.
Your dad's
but
a man.
I know it's beautiful out there too.
It's crazy. So nice.
People talk about the rain, and I'm like, no, there's no rain. It's just a drizzle.
Yeah, it's a drizzle, bro. It rains more in New York than Seattle per year.
Yeah. So that's a lot of stuff that I've been doing, and we're dealing with a lot of challenging times right now. But I think that you have to look and try to find some positivity even amongst the sort of the challenge and the struggle. And I think while people have been at home, during just like something that I don't think anybody would have ever thought, people have reconnected with outside. People have reconnected with their families, and they've started, as one of my friends told me, they've started to walk in the grass with their bare feet again.
It's a good line.
So
cool, man. Well, that's all I got. It was a good connection, Dhani. I appreciate you. From Jules.
I appreciate you. This is awesome, man. This is awesome. This is awesome, man.
Make it out this winter, man. I got tickets at the mountains. We're good.
So that marks the end of season 1 of the Plug Podcast with Russell Winfield. It feels like when I started this podcast, it was a totally different time in the world. So much has happened in the past 5 years. It's crazy. One of the highlights was meeting Russell Winfield in season 1. I drove down to his house where he was playing music with Mike LeBlanc. After the interview, the Lobster crew dropped by with the Burton rep. I got to ask Haldor and Ike weed prices in Iceland. And I remember leaving and driving back up to Vancouver thinking, I could actually do this, I want to thank Russell for all the work that he put in on the Plug Podcast, for being down to do the show, for wrangling the guests, and for really bringing it as an interviewer. It's been an honor to work with you, man. Russell's going to continue with a second season of the show. It's going to be presented by FatTire Beer. I want to thank Vans for matching listener donations up to the first $2,000 so that we were able to raise over $4,300 for Stoke.org, an organization that brings skateboarding, snowboarding, and surfing to underserved youth. I think that's such a good cause. I'm going to continue to support it with the FNRad show, which will be back shortly for season 6. We're going to do some preseason stuff coming up. Be sure to come back and check the feed often for other episodes of the FNRad Snowboard Podcast, presented by Vans and brought to you by SIA Productions.